Hi, it's very honored to introduce State Representative Jin Wu. She proudly serves the people of District 137 in the Texas House from Houston. He was born in China, and he being elected in 2012. He serves as the what is this one? Prosecutor in the Harris County District Attorney's Office. Jenny is currently an attorney in private practice. He's very famous in Houston, Texas. Yes, especially in our Asian community. Yes, we like him. Yeah, he do everything he could to help our community. So we are so honored to have him here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Jin Wu, and I'm a state rep from Houston. This is the end of my 6th term, so this is year 12 for me. It feels like I just started, but time flies, unfortunately, very quickly. And I have like a whole presentation, but I'm not going to do it. But I think I want to leave more time for questions and answers. This is a group that I think is more thoughtful and more interested in what the actual answers are instead of what the problem is. So earlier on, the previous panel, which I listened to and it was fantastic, and there was a really important question asking like, what do we do, right? What are we doing? If we're organizing, we're doing all this stuff, what is it for? And one of the things that I always talk about is the fact that our community, the Asian American community, Sino, South Asian, Pacific Islander, whatever you want to call it, all of us as a whole, as a community, we do not use power. We do not use the power that we have, and we don't know what to do with power if we get more of it, right? And that's a real big problem. And what I'm talking about is this. When other communities get power, they say to people who have power, saying, hey, we gave you money, we voted for you, we organized for you, we supported you. Come support us, show us respect, right? And that means that when you have a community event, you text all of them and saying, hey, community event, show up. Not, oh, please come if you can, show up, right? When you have a community issue, you don't say, well, we don't want to bother them, they're too important. That's the whole reason they're there. It's the whole reason you supported them. It's the whole reason you gave them money. You're saying, we're having a protest march on this issue, show up. That's it. When they don't show up, what do? Throw them out. We ain't supporting you no more. We have that conversation all the time. People will say, well, we want your endorsement, da-da-da. It's like, when was the last time you showed up to the Chinese Community Center? When was the last time you showed up at a South Asian event? When's the last time you marched with us? And the answer is never. Get the hell out. Why would we support people that don't support us? That's it. That's power. That's soft power. It's, okay. So we're talking about what to do with power, but more importantly, I'm here to talk about why we need to organize, okay? And I think maybe like there's like a lot of people in here said like, well, we're doing all this work, we're organizing. What do we tell the community members? Why are we organizing? Why are we building power structures? Why are we getting people on our side? I'll give you a great reason. Because they're coming after us, okay? And they're coming after the entire community. I don't know if you saw, but Donald Trump in a rally, I think yesterday, basically said, you see all those people coming from Africa, coming from Asia, we need to get rid of them. point blank, right? This is not a, I don't like hip hop. This is not a, well, I don't really like Chinese food. This is not a, I think Indian food is weird. This is the old hate. This is the old hate. This is the everyone who does not look like me not only should not be here, but we have to get rid of them, all right? Because when you get described, when you are described as vermin, when you are described as a disease spread upon the community, there's only one response to vermin. There's only one response to disease. You wipe it out, right? And this is a thing that we have to take more seriously now, because the old hate is coming back. The old language is coming back. The old ideas are coming back. The old laws are now coming back. 100 years ago, prior to World War II, prior to the attack on Pearl Harbor, prior to the Japanese internment, our country started passing laws against both the Chinese and the Japanese. From the very day there was an Asian on the North American continent, anti-Asian hate started. From the very moment our people stood on American soil, there were people who wanted to be rid of us, to have us expelled from this country, to be removed, to never allowed to be elected, and the ones who are here need to be rounded up and gotten rid of. And if you don't believe me, just take a look at the laws that they passed. They passed laws that saying, well, we're not going to restrict Asian immigration. We're just saying no women here. Why no women? Why no women? Because you're vermin. Because you're like rats. We are okay with you working here, digging for gold, building the railroad. But if you want to breed, that's too much, right? So say no women. We need to control their population like we control rats. Think about that. 1922 passed the Cable Act. Cable Act said, if you're an American citizen and you marry a Chinese person, you lose your citizenship. What purpose does that serve? What national security interest does that serve? Other than pure, raw, unadulterated racism, right? There's no, the justifications they always use are the same. They're saying, well, you know, those people, you can't trust them. Just look at them. Look at them with their squinty eyes. Look at their weird language. They eat rats and dogs and cats. How can you trust them? How can you believe that they can be Americans? Right? Like Germans, Irish, sure, no problem. Those are Americans. But those people we have to watch out for. So what did they start doing? They started passing laws, starting in about 1913. California, of course. California starts because that's where all the Asians are. They started passing restrictions on land use. Asians can't own land, period. Asians can't own businesses, period. Asians, Chinese, and Japanese can only do two kinds of jobs: wash people's dirty clothes and make their dirty food. The two most filthy, hardest working jobs. And not only that, but they specifically spelled it as women's work. Okay? You want to know why there are so many Chinese restaurants in America? You want to know why there are so many Chinese-owned laundromats, dry cleaners in America? Because for about 100 years, our country said Asian people, Chinese people, and Japanese people can only do those things. Right? The effect of that racism culminated in several things. One, the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, right? Laws banning immigration. So we have laws banning property, laws banning employment, laws banning education, right? Saying that Chinese kids, Japanese kids cannot go to school, period. They're not people. They don't deserve the same benefits as other people. And then we pass immigration. And starting in the early 1900s, the hate built even higher because then Japan was a international power. We had the United States has dealings with Japan, and feelings towards Japan got even worse and worse and worse and worse. And then so starting in 1913, they started passing laws under this bad feeling against the Japanese. And like they passed laws against the Chinese too because they don't know the difference, right? I don't think they actually honestly know the difference. So they just said, well, all you people. And you know how they termed it? They termed it in two different ways. One type of legislation, they termed Chinese and Japanese people as the Mongoloid races. Those are the exact terms, the Mongoloid races, because all Asian people are descendant from the Mongols, which anybody with any understanding of Asian history was like, what? Okay. But that was their attempt to insult the entire community, right? You are all descendants of Genghis Khan. You are his descendants of his rape and pillaging, as their attempt to shame our communities, right? They defined us as the Mongoloid races. The other way they defined it is very, very tricky, very sneaky way. They said aliens ineligible for citizenship, right? Because even back then, they understood what the 14th Amendment said. They understood equal protection, and they understood that if you just say China and Japan, that those might not fly under the Constitution. So they said only people affected by these laws are people ineligible for citizenship. Well, guess who the only two people ineligible for citizenship are? Chinese and Japanese, right? And we have all these laws, and you think, oh, this is a long time ago. These are old, ancient laws. We had nothing to do with this. Number one, it was only 100 years ago. Number two, many of these laws, including the Chinese Exclusion Act, were not repealed until 1965. Anyone born before 1965 in this room? Yeah, a few people, right? How old are these laws? So think about this. It gets worse. The laws that were passed, including the Chinese Exclusion Act, were supposed to have been repealed in 1942 when when the United States needed China as an ally, right, in fighting World War II. And the Chinese said, we're not going to help you MFers as long as you have this racist law on your books, like basically making us second-class everything. And so the United States government repealed the laws, but didn't, right? They kept all of the policies in place through policy, even though the laws themselves were wiped off the books. For another 20 years. Think about the level and the amount of hate that has to exist for people to keep policies active, even though the laws themselves governing those policies have been erased. That they don't want our community in this country that much, that they would spend their own personal effort to maintain that policy of excluding Asians from this country. All right? Think about, look around your community. Has anyone come here before 1975? Anybody come here before 1975? When's your family come here? 65? Okay. So a few rare examples. Most of the people I know that came here before 1975 came here 100 years ago during the gold rush, right? Lee family in San Francisco, G family in Houston. A lot of them were paper sons, right? Because between 1882 and 1965, the total number of visas that were granted each year from China was 100. 100 visas, not green cards, visas. Okay? Okay. All of this stuff, property restrictions, education restrictions, employment restrictions, immigration restrictions, led up to one thing, the Japanese internment, right? 120,000 Japanese Americans were rounded up and at gunpoint, forced into trucks and then forced onto train cars, taken to concentration camps. There's many people in my community who, when I tell the stories, that I'm not worried about it. I'm a citizen. 2/3 of the people taken to concentration camps in America were American citizens. 2/3. Over 66% were not only American citizens, but natural-born American citizens because, again, Japanese and Chinese could not naturalize, right? These are American-born, mostly children, who probably didn't even speak Japanese. And there were even people who didn't know that they were Japanese, right? Whose parents just didn't know. And they were rounded up anyways. Why? For the same reasons. Because just look at those people. Just look at them. Look at the way they act. Look at the way they talk. Look at what they eat. You can't trust them. And so there's this idea that Asian Americans, that Asian people, the Japanese people at the time, well, you know they're going to be loyal to the emperor, right? I mean, you can't trust them. They're going to be loyal to the emperor. They're not going to be loyal Americans. It doesn't matter. They're citizens. In fact, General John DeWitt, the American general in charge of the concentration camp, said this, quote, "A Jap's a Jap. It doesn't matter if they're U.S. citizens or not." Think about that. What other group do we say in this country that, well, we don't trust you even several generations in? You're not really Americans, right? So that was actually Japanese internment was less than 100 years ago. Fast forward to today, bouncing across 1965, right? My parents came in about 82, 83. I came at the same time, right? My dad came a little bit earlier. And so did most, and we were one of the earlier ones in our community, and everybody else came, most of the vast majority of people came after that. And so now we're in 2024. And what we have started to discover is that many of these exact same laws, the exact same laws that were passed 100 years ago are being passed again today. And under the same reasons, with the same philosophies, with the same rationales. The problem is, what is the final result? You have property, employment, education, immigration. Today, Congress, the House of Representatives, this last week, property, employment, education, immigration. You see where I'm going with this? Being passed because they have bad feelings about the Chinese government, saying, look at those Chinese. Just look at them. I mean, look at what they eat. Look at how they talk. I mean, they're going to be loyal to the CCP. It doesn't matter how long they've been here. It doesn't matter if they're citizens. Just look at them. You can't trust them. So this is my entire bit. This is my entire speech. We've seen this movie before. We know how this movie ends. So we have the exact same movie playing again today. I, for one, don't want to watch this movie again. Because there's a big difference between what happened back then and what happened now. And the big difference is we can vote. The big difference is we can organize. The big difference is we have seen the first movie. We have watched how it turns out, right? And we don't have to watch it again. And that's the thing. And I know there's people say, oh, you're being hyperbolic, you're blowing this out of proportion, da-da-da-da. Let's talk about that. Let's say we're going to bet. What is your risk tolerance? How much do you want to bet? You say, like, if you say that it's not going to happen and you say I'm wrong, what percentage are you willing to tolerate that I might be right? If there's a 20% chance that we are headed to a future Chinese internment or future just Asian internment, because don't forget, Chinese is just an easy target. Don't forget, they hate Indians just as much. They hate Pakistanis just as much. They hate Burmese just as much. They hate Vietnamese just as much. They're just a little bit quieter about it. Just as they were quiet about the Chinese when it was more convenient to attack Latinos, to attack black people. Now it's convenient to go after Asians again. Okay, so here's my question. The same set of laws, because of the same feelings, being passed for the same rationales, ended up with the Japanese internment. What is everyone's risk tolerance for that to happen again? 20%? 5%? What if it's just 1%? What if there's a 1% chance? What if there's below a 1% chance that in 10 to 20 years, we could be looking down the end of a rifle, telling our children and our families to get in the truck? What level of risk are you, the Asian American community, willing to take? That's it. That's the whole reason I spent 3 hours flying up, 3 hours flying down, spending my own money to be here. That's the whole question I want to ask you is, what is your risk tolerance level? My risk tolerance level is fucking 0, right? I'm sorry. Because I have 2 little boys, and I have dreams of them running for office, and maybe one of them becoming president. But I sure as hell can't have that dream if the people who look at them, if the everyday Americans who looked at them, all they see is spy. All they see is traitor. All they see is perpetual alien. You are a foreigner forever. It won't happen with those things in blocking. And for all the young people in here, you're fighting for your future. You're fighting for an actual future, not a second-class future, not a future with caveats, not a future where you have to apologize for who you are. A real future the same as every other American in this country. And so, if you join me in saying, my risk tolerance is 0, my willingness to accept the idea that we are subhuman, that we are vermin to be wiped out from this country. Because here, let me break it down for you. When you have people saying that your people are a danger, that we need to go ahead and deal with all of you because everyone is potentially a traitor to this country. What do you do with those kind of people? What do you do with an entire group of people that you say I can't trust and I think are a danger to the country? What do you think is going to happen? What do you do with vermin? What do you do with disease? You get rid of it. You destroy it. You wipe it from the planet. The old hate is coming back. And our community, for too long, both South Asian and East Asian, have been too complacent, thinking nice little model minority thoughts. That if I just work hard, if I keep my mouth shut, I don't complain when people slap us around, I don't march when they kick us, we will go to our own destruction in silence. We are marching towards our own destruction in complete silence. With every one of us marching, knowing exactly where this road ends, but we say nothing. Okay, that's it. That's the whole point. That's why you're here in this room today. That's why I'm here. Because I refuse to be silent anymore. I grew up with my parents saying, don't rock the boat, don't. I'm a freaking 4th-generation attorney. Like, I've been elected office for like a decade. My parents still tell me to don't rock the boat. Like, Mom, that's all I do. So here's the thing. If you want an answer to why do we organize, what should we do, why do we have to do it, why, it's for this. It's for survival. If nothing else, let's just survive. As Asians have always done, let's survive. But I'm telling you this, we can do better than survival. We're going to have the first South Asian in the White House in January. I promise you this. and you're going to help make this happen, right? Those kind of things matter for our community. Visibility matters, representation matters. But more important than that, our community's own actions matter. If we don't defend ourselves, why would any other group defend us? Right? So all throughout the country, in legislatures that have passed this legislation, whenever there was a legislature without an Asian American in it who would stand up and defend us, you know who stood up for us? African Americans. Black legislators from across the state, without even being asked, without being told to do it, they stood up and they argued for us, right? When there was no reason to, other than it was the right thing to do. We have people who are supporting us, Black, Latino, Muslim, Jews. Why? Because they have all experienced this in the past, but they have never experienced all of those things at one time, right? This is a fight for our community. There are people who are willing to ally with us and support us, but we have to be the first ones through the gate. We have to be at the head carrying the flag. If our community does not show up, neither will anyone else. And they will be looking at us going like, why are you guys so silent? You're marching toward your own doom in complete silence. So that's all I got. And this is what I want to see happen across the nation. Every single person around here, when you're done with this meeting, go and tell your entire network. We don't have an Asian network, right? We don't have a strong network. We have lots of organizations that are loosely affiliated. They don't really talk to each other, so there's no way for us to really get information down into the community. You are your community. Send this out to everyone. It's coming. Whether you're South Asian or East Asian, it's coming. Whether you're Chinese or Japanese, it doesn't matter. It's coming. They only are looking at Chinese for today. But trust me, when I say in the past, they don't know the difference, they still don't know the difference, right? So go home, tell everyone what you know. Tell everyone we need to start getting ready to fight. Number 2, start organizing. That means that in your home community, if there is not a network of concerned Asian Americans, whether South Asian, East Asian, Pacific, I don't care. You can make it Pan-Asian, you can make it just your group, whatever you feel comfortable with, organize it. If that doesn't exist, you build it. And this is the question I get all the time. People ask me all the time when I come to speak. Well, who do you think we should get to lead this? Baby, you asked the question. You're the answer. That's it. And everyone in here, if you have to ask somebody, who do you think should lead this new organization? Baby, you asked the question. You're also the answer. I'm sorry. Look at this room. How many people you seen here? Right? It's a good number, but not remotely proportional to our community size. Because so many of our people are just happy making money and just going on their lives and thinking to themselves, as long as I have money, I'll be okay. As long as I'm a citizen, I'm okay. It didn't help in the past. It's not going to help in the future. So tell everyone you know. Start getting them organized. Number 3, start using your power. Start using your power. The election is in 45 days. You have 45 days to get to your community. Tell them what you have seen. Tell them what you know. And tell them the one way you can send a very clear message is vote. And this is a nonpartisan organization. I will say this. I don't even care who you vote for. I do, but I don't. Okay? Because every Asian American that votes, no matter on which side, we show that statistic. We can see that statistic. And what I want to be able to do is in the spring, right? No matter what happens in the election, I want to go to elected officials and say, you see that 3% rise in Asian votes? That number is more than 2/3 of your margin of victory. So if you want to screw with us, if you want to pass legislation that we don't like, you do it at your own risk. But I want you to know what's coming. If you screw with us, if you pass laws against us, if you attack us, You kick us, you punch us. We're fighting back this time. We're fighting back this time because bullies have never gone away by you ignoring them. That's it. Okay? Educate, organize, vote. That's power. That's power in America. That's how you build power. That's how you get power. That's how you get what you need for your community. That's it. There's nothing else. And for educating community, getting organized, it's gonna suck, right? Because as someone who has dealt with the Asian community for the past more than 2 decades, dealing with the Asian community sucks because we are so diverse, we are so disparate, and we all want to live in our own little holes, right? We like living in our own little pockets and saying, I'm just going to be surrounded by Chinese Cantonese people, and we're going to have a lot of Hong Kong food, and then life will be great, and I don't have to worry about anything else. You're going to have to break out of that. I'm sorry. You're going to have to go talk to somebody who's not Cantonese, right? You're going to have to go meet with people who might be Muslim or might be Hindu or might be anything else. Deal with it. Deal with it. That's it, right? Because we're going to have to do the exact same thing that the Black community did, that the Latino community did, that the Muslim community did, that the Jewish community did, LGBT community did, that every community in America who has wanted power, who got tired of getting punched and kicked, that's what every community in America has had to do. You're not special children. Asian people are not special children. You have to do what everyone else does. That's it. Okay? So, happy to take questions. Now that everyone's depressed everyone now. But we can do this. You saw how this worked out in Texas, okay? Texas tried to pass this law. I mean, this is Republican, bright red Texas. And this is one of their top bills. It was being carried by one of their top lieutenants. And they carry these bills with a very clear cost benefit, right? Well, it's good for me politically and has no cost because, well, the Asian people don't respond. They don't vote. They give money, but they don't ever ask for anything after they give money, right? So why not? What the community did was change the scale. It's like, well, you have a great value here, no cost. Oh, let's increase your cost. So we started organizing. We started telling people, informing the community. We told the community, go and contact your elected officials. Here's who to contact. Here's what to say. Here's, don't contact people outside of your district. Contact your state representative. So your first line is, I'm a voter in your district. They will read that email. I promise you. Okay? And we for the first time in our history, the Asian community held a press conference at City Hall. We had the mayor there. We had congressional members there. We had councilmen there. We had state reps, state senators. I was the only Asian. I was the only Asian there. Asian elected official, right? We got a coalition to show up. Then we had a huge march. We were only expecting 100 people. We got over 1,000. In fact, we were just supposed to march on a sidewalk, but it was so big because the mayor came out, congressional members came out. We took over an 8-lane street, right, and shut it down completely. And for those of you from Houston, we shut down Bel Air, which is a massive street, right? That changed everyone's calculations because all of a sudden the people pushing this go, oh crap, it just got really heavy on the other side. And one of my favorite sort of things that happened, and I don't know exactly why, but here's what happened. So one of the other senators that was carrying a bill just like it, that had just had the hearing like a couple of days ago, calls my office and is, please come to my office. I'm like, crap, getting summoned to the principal's office. So I go, I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. He stands up, shakes my hand, says, Gene, I promise you that I will not move my bill and that I will vote against the other bill that's headed to the floor. Like, what? Dude, you just offered this bill up on committee like 2 days ago. What the hell happened? Like a complete 180, like overnight. I don't know what happened, but I can guess. That kind of reaction only comes when a substantial donor calls you and saying, if you pass your bill, that will be the last time I give you money. Because either it's a Chinese person or somebody who works with them and said, like, I'm going to lose a whole lot of money if you pass this legislation. It was effective, wasn't it? That one phone call not only stopped a bad piece of legislation, but flipped the member. That phone call would not have happened if we did not, one, get that information out to the public, two, tell the public you can take action and organize to fight against this, and three, then convince people the way to fight this is for you to call your people. Call the people you've been donating to, call your people that represent you, and tell them, if you pass this, there are going to be consequences. That's what organization gets you. That's what being organized gets you. That's real power. That is like real, like Capitol Hill type of power that our community has never really had. And it's about time we had it, because we deserve it. We've earned it. Let's go get it. All right. All right.
Thank you very much,
story
Representative
is
Jean Wu.
really like the story
One
of
more round of
thousands,
applause
if
for
not
that
millions, of
inspirational
our Asian
talk.
Americans,
Thank you.
and other immigrants from around the world.
Okay,
We went
if the
from
board would
the
like to
third
have a
largest city in
picture
China,
with the
Guangzhou,
representative
to
before we go.
a town of 20,000 people. And if you want to talk about culture shock, sometimes Asian Americans need to represent Asian Americans, right? Because we understand the issues, we understand the community, and we understand what needs to be done. And it's not to say that no one else can do it, but few people know our community as well as we do. We have to work with other communities, but first understand that they receive discrimination just like we receive discrimination. One of my favorite little things I learned over recently was that I'm a big Wu-Tang Clan fan. That's a rap group from the East Coast. And one of the things I never understood is, why does so much East Coast hip hop have references to Chinese Kung Fu movies and Chinese Kung Fu? There's a lot of Asian history in America tied in with the Black community, tied in with the Latino community. A shared history of pain is what we have, which is probably the best bond you can have. To know that we suffer together. The way we fight it is together, right? The moment we all understand that, we are unstoppable.
Ladies and gentlemen, Representative Jean Wu, what a wonderful speech he's given. And let me just say, what you were watching was a portion of an episode of a podcast that we recorded about 2 weeks ago that we'll be releasing next week, that is 45 minutes long. And some of the topics that Representative Wu talked about just a moment ago were included in this, but there's other deeper issues and questions that you must hear to understand the circumstances that we face and the challenges that we must confront and the work that we must do. So thank you so much, Representative Wu.
Can I say one more? Just one more thing. One of the things everyone in here can do to help me is I'm trying to reach out to, again, I'm trying to do this all around the country, talk about this issue and tell the community what to do. If you are from a place that has a reasonably sized population, you want me to come and talk to them, happy to. Like, reach out to my office. We can set up a Zoom if it's not that convenient. But I'm happy to come visit, especially after the election. So I'm happy to come out to wherever you are. If you have a group that's there that want to talk, they want to hear this presentation, they want to ask questions, come find me. I'm easy to find. Jean Wu, state rep. Just look me up and just contact my office. Come to Alaska? I'll come to Alaska. My parents. Yeah. Yeah, sure. I got time. I got 20 minutes.
Could we have the board up here real quick, get a picture? And then for those of you who are interested in deeper conversation, listen to our podcast, which is going to be released this month.